Well, it's huge. I mean, the diaspora. I mean, the way I measure it, which includes everybody who lives outside mainland China, and is ethnic Chinese. There's about 70 million of them in the world.
70.
It's absolutely. I mean, you see different numbers because some people will say, oh, Taiwan is part of China, etc. Which I don't want to get into the politics of that, but this is a large group of Chinese people who are living entirely outside the control of Beijing, so they act like they're part of the diaspora. If they were a country, if the overseas Chinese were a country, they would be bigger than France, and they are completely global. They're in almost every country, and it used to be that. I mean, when China was closed. When under Mao, when everything was going to hell, then the overseas Chinese, they were basically refugees from a place that had more or less collapsed, and they would link, their trading networks would link one foreign port with another. Maybe they'd link Thailand with Indonesia or something. But now that's completely changed. Now that China has opened up, suddenly they're linking China to the world and the world to China. They're this sort of bridge between China and every other country in the world, and it's the way that China finds out what's going on in the world, or Chinese people find out, and it's the way that other people in the rest of the world find out what's going on in China. So it's fantastically useful.
It's very interesting. So do you think that the ethnic Chinese outside are in any way influencing Chinese politics and making them open up more quickly?
I think this is one of the most fascinating areas, because you've had this enormous foreign study movement. I mean, there's, if you're a member of the Chinese elite, then the one thing you really want your children to have is a foreign university education. And so you've got something like 500,000 Chinese people who have studied abroad and then gone back to China, most of them in the past decade. And these children, these are either very clever people who get scholarships, or they're very well connected people, they're the children of the elite, or they're wealthy enough to afford foreign university fees. And it's extraordinary the influence that they have in modern China. They completely dominate the technology industry. You find all the big tech companies, from Baidu to Alibaba, have huge numbers, either founded by returnees or have huge numbers of them working in high positions. They completely dominate the technocratic think tanks that advise the government on practical policy. And this is the most interesting thing, they're starting to be a big force in the Communist Party itself. If you look at, there was a scholar called Chang Li at Brookings, who's just done this sort of study of what proportion of the Central Committee of the Communist Party are returnees, foreign educated. And it's just going up and up and up. It was about 6% in 2002, and then it's up to about 7%. So it's up to about 10%, nearly doubled by 2007. And he reckons with the changeover next year, it'll be up to 15 to 17%. So it's gradually getting larger. And this is crucial because you have, a lot of pressure in China, a lot of 70,000 demonstrations or violent protests every year. It's almost 300,000 labor disputes every year. The system is really creaking because it's not democratic, because there's no way for people to express their views and to change things without violence. And within the system, at the very top of the system, you have this very large cadre of people who have first-hand experience of what a democracy looks like, who understand, not just how elections work, but how the rule of law works, how people get on with each other in an advanced democracy. And I predict that, when China finally goes democratic, it's going to be because these people were there to reform it from within.